It began one Friday evening when Zach Arif, Jamal, Elena Lee, and Ahmad Seth, school friends brought together by a mutual interest in ghost stories and urban legends, met up at Seth's house for their weekly session of swapping scary stories. Most of their tales had the usual themes of serial killers hiding inside people's cars, haunted houses, or school games where you have to chant some stupid verse, or stories about people hanging out by the graveyard, getting terrorized by restless spirits and so on. "You guys heard about the rotting man?" Seth asked. "No," Zach said. "What's that?" "Ooh, dude." He grinned conspiratorially, like he was letting the group in on a secret bigger than the formula for Coca-Cola. "You see," he began, "the rotting man is a creature said to be living in the outskirts of the PJ industrial area." Elena sighed and wiped her oval face with a delicate pale hand. She said in a deadpan voice, "But that place is still full of electronics factories, and there are plenty of houses and shops there, so there's no way that it could go unnoticed." "Dude, let me finish," Seth insisted, sitting upright on his desk chair. "The thing is, this is the really old part of the industrial area. You know, the spot with all those abandoned factories, and no one goes there, except for the guys who cut the grass and stuff." "Yeah," Zach agreed quickly, remembering the area. "It used to be the main industrial spot in their city until the factories closed down in the 80s. Ever since their owners locked the doors for the very last time, they were left to rot. With the exception of a few factories, most of them were left unguarded, making the area a ripe spot for graffiti artists, homeless people, drug users, and the like. It was only natural that someone had started making up ghost stories about the place. So anyway," Seth continued, readjusting his glasses and brushing his dark hair, "I heard this from one of the guys that works there. From what he told me, one night, a graffiti artist broke into one of the factories. When he started spray painting, he noticed this weird rotting smell. Okay?" "Go on," Zach said, resting his lean figure on the only empty spot on the bedroom wall. It was mostly covered in posters of horror movies and a bookshelf filled with horror novels. "So this guy continued working, thinking that it could be rotten meat someone dumped there at the factory," he continued. "But then he started hearing this song. It went, 'Oh, what have we here? Here's a delicious morsel, tastes well raw, even better cooked.' Of course, he started freaking out. Then he took out his torchlight and saw it. The rotting man." "What's he like?" Zach asked, leaning forward and looking directly at Seth, twirling his curly long hair in curiosity. "Well, he has a body of a human being, but no skin, and his flesh is rotting all over. That's all I really know. But somehow this rotting man managed to be strong and agile?" Zach asked, raising a curved eyebrow in skepticism. "Hey, that's what I heard," he shrugged. "Anyway, when he attacked the guy, he actually bit his neck. But somehow, the man managed to push him away. He gave him a few blows with his torchlight, breaking it, then escaped, before he ran into the guy that told me the story." "So what happened to the artist after that?" Elena asked. "Shit, I don't know," Seth said, gesturing with his hand as if he was waving it off. "So, it might be real then?" Zach asked, not particularly convinced, but interested nonetheless. "Yeah, it might be," he grinned. "Come on, let's check it out." "What?" Jamal said nervously, his eyes darting around the room, worry written all over his light brown face. "You mean right now?" Seth rolled his eyes and said, "No, not right now, bro. Later. Tonight. Then we can see if it's for real or not." "Are you sure it's a good idea?" Elena asked suspiciously, drumming her long fingers on her bare knees. "Of course it is," he said excitedly, his brown irises shining behind his glasses. "I mean, we're exploring to see if a local rumor is true or not. How awesome is that? Shit, man. For all we know, we might even get interviewed in Mastika, maybe a guest spot in Seekers. That'll be pretty cool, don't you think?" Yeah, Elena said, rolling her eyes. "Being on TV is pretty cool, but it won't happen, Seth." As soon as darkness descended upon the town, the group drove out to the industrial complex, trying not to draw attention to themselves from the workers and guards populating the space. As they drove deeper inside, the surrounding area became even more desolated and dilapidated, with empty, gutted-out buildings, graffiti-covered walls, sporadic lighting barely illustrating the cracked streets, and untended plants becoming even more commonplace as they progressed. They stopped the car next to an abandoned soda factory and got out. "This is it," Seth said. "Are you sure this is the place?" Zach asked, looking around the area. He felt there were at least a dozen factories that fit the story's description. "I think it's this one," Seth said excitedly as he turned on his torchlight. It provided them with a degree of badly needed light, as the lampposts on the streets weren't working, and there was no light coming from the factory itself. When Seth shone the light at the pitch-black factory complex, it barely penetrated the darkness in the area, adding to everyone's apprehension. "Come on." Elena smiled and placed her hand on Zach's shoulder, looking up at him. "It's not that bad." "Yeah," he mumbled, sweat beading on his forehead. "I'm sure nothing bad will happen." "Come on," Seth urged the group. "If I'm not mistaken," he said, rattling the rusty gates that acted as a barrier between the outside world and the unknown dangers of the factory, forcing them open. "It's this way." He stepped into the abandoned factory complex, leading the group into certain doom. "Let's stay close," Elena said without the slightest trace of worry in her voice or on her face. She stepped into the factory compound herself. Zach soon followed them, his hands clammy with worry and anticipation. The last one, Jamal, caught up with them and closed the gate behind them. "Why'd you close the gate?" Zach asked curiously. "If I leave it open, the guards might realize someone is here," Jamal huffed, the brief period of exertion exhausting his chubby figure. Zach rolled his eyes. "Yeah, bro. Like no one would notice the empty car parked just in front of the factory. Obviously." "Yeah, can't do much about that," he agreed, wiping his sweat-soaked face. "You guys coming or what?" Seth called out, clearly anxious to look around and verify the rumor. Elena waited by his side, hands on her hips, looking as calm as ever. Zach and Jamal jogged up towards them. "All right, dude. Now what?" Jamal asked, wheezing even more. "Now," he said, "we look for the rotting man." Oh, joy, Zach thought to himself. Why did I ever agree to this? Sure, it beats staying at home, but now I really wished I'd done that. "So, what's your plan?" Jamal asked, straightening his hefty frame. "Well," Seth looked around. "It is a big place. Do you think we should split up? We could cover more ground that way. Besides, that thing's probably not that harmful for all we know, right?" "Nah, Zach said quickly. "No way, dude. Haven't you seen those horror movies where the main characters split up and every single one of them gets chased down by some monster until only one remains?" And that would be me, obviously, Elena said cheerily. The lone girl always survives. Oh, come on, Zach groaned out loud. Look, let's just stick together. Who knows what might happen? We probably won't run into the rotting man, if he's even real. But at a place like this, we might meet someone up to no good. At least when we're in a group, the numbers work to our advantage. Fair enough, Seth nodded before flashing his torch around the area. From what I know, he mumbled out loud. The artist would most likely have been doing his work at the main building, so let's start there. Hello? Seth called out as the group entered the factory building. Oh, good job, Seth, Zach groaned. Alert that thing that we're around, will you? Just brilliant, bro. Whatever, man, he said dismissively as he walked into the factory, flashing his torch around. I want him to know we mean business. Zach rolled his eyes. You mean business, Seth? I never agreed to this. Hey, come on now, Elena said. There's no need to fight, guys. She's right, Jamal agreed, trying not to look too anxious himself. The sooner we stop arguing, the sooner we can get this over with, and the sooner we can go home. Fine, let's go, Seth began, looking around the barren factory floor. He saw that most of the machinery that previously occupied it had been removed by the previous owner. There was the stairwell leading to the office complex upstairs, and the open yard, which, judging by the tarmac and overgrowth, is where the bottles would have been arranged before being shipped away. He looked around, taking another glance at the stairwell. That way, he said. As they made their way up the staircase, Seth paused for a moment. Did you guys hear something? He asked. What? You're chickening out already, Seth? Zach sneered. Shut up, man, he replied, turning back, glaring directly at Zach. All you ever do is complain and make fun of me. If you don't want to follow, you can just leave. Hey, enough, you guys, Jamal groaned. Let's get upstairs. We might find something interesting. I mean, we probably won't find the rotten man or whatever he is, but there might be some cool stuff left over, you know. He's the rotting man, Seth said, upset that the rest of the group was not taking it as seriously as he did. Come on, we're wasting time already. He might be hiding up there. That's where I heard the noise. Dude, Elena spoke up. If you did hear a noise up there, maybe it's better if we stay away from it. If you still want to go upstairs, though, I guess we could wait for a bit before we go up there. Good idea, Seth agreed. Let's wait a couple of minutes, and then we'll go upstairs. The group stood at the stairwell for a few minutes in total darkness, the light from their torches illuminating the floor. There was hardly any sound, save for the shuffling of their shoes as they waited anxiously, unable to start up a conversation in that tense, still air blanketing the environment. Zach turned his torch on and off repeatedly. Elena kept hers still. Seth kept on shining it upstairs, clearly anxious to go there, while Jamal tried to amuse himself by making shadows with his hands. After a few more moments, Seth looked at the rest of the group and said, I think we can go now. They slowly climbed the cracked staircase, kicking rubble and empty bottles out of their way as their footsteps echoed throughout the empty factory. Soon, they reached the second floor. Well, here we are, Zach said, looking around the office room. Its rotting door was ajar, as if the last person who'd left the premises simply hadn't closed them before going for good. Then walked down the hallway, peering into the musty, vacant offices, Broken light bulbs hung from their ceilings, the floors littered with used needles and spoons and discarded whiskey bottles. Save for their flashlights, the floor was in complete darkness. Some of the offices had an old desk or chair, and one of them had a filing cabinet. All were in various states of decay and rust. The group went through the cabinet to find anything of interest, but the damp, rotting drawers were barren, except for a few moldy pieces of paper and cheap broken pens, small puddles of stagnant water inside them. Well, he's definitely not here, Seth concluded after they'd finished searching the whole floor. Let's try elsewhere. Man, the sooner we finish, the better, Elena said. Yep, that's what she said, Zach grinned. Elena punched his shoulder in response. You jerk. Come on, let's go downstairs, Seth said, turning to face another set of stairs. Jamal walked down the corridor, having separated himself from the group earlier. He was trying to find a signal on his phone, desperately attempting to call his mother, just wanting to let her know that he would be fine, and that he wasn't up to anything dangerous. Suddenly, he heard a growling sound right behind him. He broke into a cold sweat, his stomach churning in terror as he wondered what to do next. He turned around, and the first thing he saw was a bony figure with rotten flesh hanging off its skeletal frame. Frozen in horror, he watched the creature's brown, cracked teeth pouncing at him. The fear and surprise he felt was swiftly replaced by utter, blinding pain on his neck. He gasped in shock, immobilized by the pain and blood loss. Mustering his strength, he tried to throw the creature away from him, to no avail, as its inhumanly strong grip made it impossible for him to overpower it. His vision blurry from the initial attack, he tried to gain the energy to push it away for the last time, but to his horror, he felt the creature's bony fingers penetrating his eye sockets. They began to pull on his eyeballs viciously, which made the pain even worse. It became unbearable. Crippled with pain and fear, his world turned black. Ooh, eyeballs, eyeballs, little piggy dead. Yes, I take piggy's eyes. Yummy, 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 the rotting man cackled as it shoved the eyeballs into its mouth and began eating them. It took another look at Jamal's lifeless, blind body and skittered away, humming, 3 more piggies for my tummy, 3 more piggies and I'll be full. Yes, yes, yes. Well, that was a false start, Elena said as they reached the bottom of the stairs. 1 moment later, Zach took a look behind them and noticed something amiss. Guys? Zach said after a double take. I just realized Jamal's not with us. Shit, Seth said, his lips curled in clear distaste. I knew that mother's boy going to be a nuisance. Elena took out her phone and looked at it. Well, there's no signal, she said, placing her phone back in her pocket. I guess we have to go back and find him now. But as soon as they stepped on the first steps up the stairwell, Elena stopped in her tracks. Wait, guys, she whispered, her hand blocking them from proceeding. Hear that? A faint cackling voice came from upstairs, followed by a skittering noise. They stood there, numb with shock and surprise, until the noise faded out. Oh my God, Zach whispered. He's real. Did you guys hear that? Seth spoke up, his face clearly excited by the turn of events. I knew it. I knew the rotting man was real. Guys, this is so cool. Idiot, Elena exclaimed. If he's real, that means Jamal's in danger. They quickly ran back up the stairs. Their footsteps echoed in the factory's emptiness. Their lights flashed wildly in the night, highlighting the cracks beneath them the mold gathering in the ceiling, the rusty steel supports, the decaying doors, and the dust they kicked away in their mad scramble for their friend. They breathed rapidly, the feeling of air brushing against their lungs as they ran, praying that maybe, just maybe, they could reach him in time. After running around and calling out Jamal's name, they turned a corner and stopped. Jamal's mutilated body lay on the bathroom floor, his neck almost chewed in half. The huge, gaping wound was caked with dried blood, bits and pieces of torn skin, flesh and arteries lying all around the floor. It was the eye sockets that struck them the most, though. The moment they flashed their lights at his body, the first thing they saw was his bloodied face. His eyes were no longer there, only empty, bloody sockets in their place. They stared back at the group accusingly, blaming them for bringing him along to his death, and warning that any one of them could be next. Zach stated to feel lightheaded and queasy. He stumbled to a corner, leaned over, and vomited loudly. "Dude, you okay?" Elena asked, concerned. "Yeah," Zach said weakly. "Just, what the fuck happened, man?" All of a sudden, Seth burst into a fit of hysterical laughter. "Shit, don't you guys see it? The rotting man's real, man," he continued, waving his hands at Jamal's lifeless body. "And he just ate up Jamal's eyes. He's definitely real, you guys. He actually eats body parts like in the story. Do you have any idea how cool this is?" "My God," Elena said. "You've lost the plot, bro." "Ooh, no. Seth smiled as he got up and waved his chubby finger at them. "You don't understand. The rotting man is real, and I'm going to prove it to the world. I'll get the evidence to show everyone he's real, and you guys are going to help me." "No way, dude." Zach stood up. "We're out of here. Look what it did to Jamal, man." "Oh, come on," Seth said. "What happened to Jamal's a tragedy, but look at it this way. If we gather the evidence and prove to everyone that it's real, maybe we can, avenge his death or something." "You idiot," Elena said. "You can't just leave him here like that. What about the police? What about his mom?" "What about them?" Seth asked. Zach stood back up, looking at Seth with surprise. "What about them? Dude, don't you get it? The police will ask what we were doing here, why we didn't call them sooner, and then we have to deal with his mom, man. Shit. She hasn't been too good ever since his dad died. And now he's dead too." Zach tried to continue, his voice cracking. No words came out. He leaned against a wall and covered his face. "Oh man, this is bad. This is really bad. We should get out of here." Seth rubbed his face with his hands and looked at the both of them. "All right," he said. "Here's what we'll do. Let's go find that thing and make it pay for what it did to Jamal. Once we do that, we'll come up with an alibi about, I don't know, some junkie attacking him when he wasn't looking or something." "That's a pretty stupid idea," Zach mumbled. "But I can't think of anything better." "I still think we should get out of here fast," Elena argued. "Oh," Seth said, glaring at Elena. "Do you have any better ideas about the body?" "I say we get out of here now," Elena replied. "Call the police and tell them the story you just said. But if we go to them right now, they're less likely to think we killed Jamal. I mean, just think, guys. We visited an abandoned factory in the middle of the night. Jamal shows up dead. And instead of going to them immediately, we decide to look around some more. Anyone would think something's weird there. She's got a point. Zach nodded. Maybe we should leave now. No, you guys. Seth stood up between them. We should investigate further. We're not doing this for ourselves. We're doing this for Jamal. That creature got lucky when it attacked him. We've got numbers on our side. Plus, if we stay alert, we might be able to stay one step ahead of that creature. Once we get the proof, hell, if we kill that creature, we'll be able to avenge Jamal's death and show everyone that thing's real. Fuck this, Elena exclaimed and turned around. I'm getting out of here. Come on, Zach. Zach didn't even respond to her request, standing at the same spot, looking down at the floor. Elena grabbed his elbow and started shaking it. Come on, bro. Let's go. We should get out of here now. Zach pulled his arm away and looked at her. I don't know, man. I'm starting to have second thoughts here. Elena looked at him in dismay, her mouth open in disbelief. Seriously, Zach? It's not safe here, man. Let's go. Come on. Zach and Seth simply remained standing, looking at her blankly. Look, Seth began. I know you want to get out right now, but it's dangerous out there, especially if you go out by yourself. That creature's still out there, and God knows what'll happen if it finds you wandering around by yourself. Let's stick together, find that thing, and get out of here. What do you say? Elena rubbed her eyes and blinked for a moment before responding. All right, Seth. Let's go with your plan for now. If anything goes wrong, though, we're out of here. Seth smiled weakly and held up both his hands up. All right, I get it. So where should we go now? Zach asked as he straightened himself up again. I don't know, Seth admitted, but I don't think it's on this floor anymore. He looked around for a moment before turning to the window. He noticed the back of the factory. We could try there. It's out in the open, so there's no way it'll take us by surprise. Zach ran his hand through his curly hair. Shit. At this rate, any place is a good place to start. The three of them went downstairs, past the production floor and outdoors. They paused for a moment as they looked around the area. Weeds growing between the cracks in the parking lot. Empty crates and broken bottles strewn all over the place, trying to find their bearings in the pitch-dark environment. As they looked around, Elena stooped over and picked up a piece of wood, while Zach grabbed up a large rock next to him. Seth obtained up a still intact bottle, grasping it in his hand. Right, he said. Let's try the storeroom over there. Elena was about to protest, but Seth brushed her off and entered the storeroom. Zach and Elena waited for him outside, anxious to leave the area as soon as possible. Just as Elena was about to approach the door to check up on Seth, a gust of wind closed it. As if on cue, they heard Seth quickly approaching the door and rattling on the doorknob. What the fuck, guys? Seth shouted, banging on the door. Why'd you lock me in? It wasn't our fault, man, Zach replied. It just closed by itself. Try opening it from the inside. Dude, I can't, Seth exclaimed. As they fumbled with the doorknob, Elena heard a galloping sound approaching them from behind. Dreading the worst, she turned around and saw a humanoid figure with rotting flesh clinging onto its bones rapidly approaching them, its mouth twisted in a grotesque smile. Oh shit, Zach stammered, his knees shaking in fear. What do we do now? Don't leave me behind, you guys, Seth demanded. Hold him off. Before they could react, the creature leaped towards Zach. In a moment of courage, he ran forward and threw himself on the monster, tackling it to the ground. With his rock in hand, he bashed it down on the creature's head, smashing it against its skull, dust and rotten flesh flying everywhere. Injured from the attack, it swiftly turned its head towards Zack and glared directly at him through empty eye sockets. Zack stopped for a moment, and shocked from what he had saw, quickly scooted back before getting up on his knees immediately. He charged again, trying to hit the monster with the rock, but it quickly gripped Zack's throat with his skeletal hand. Chunks of rotting flesh slid against his neck, the overpowering stench of rotten flesh filling his nostrils. As Zack struggled to break free from its grasp, Elena attacked the monster from behind, hitting it with the plank in her hands. The creature cringed for a moment, threw Zack against the wall, then twisted its head to meet Elena's horrified face, her jaw frozen in terror as the creature smiled at her. The impact from hitting the wall head-on knocked Zack out. With Zack unconscious, it turned its attention towards Elena. Panicked by the turn of events, she started to run away, but seeing Zack on the floor and worried for his safety, she decided to stand her ground. She held the plank with her shaking hands, anticipating the creature's attack. It rushed towards her, and when it got close, she immediately swung the plank towards the creature. It deftly ran sideways before jumping on her, grabbing her throat with its right hand. Elena soon felt its fingers digging into it, and her heart beating rapidly in her chest. It was slowly pulling her throat out of her neck. The more it tugged, the more she gagged and gasped for breath, before the creature finally ripped through the flesh in one single swift move. It tossed her body aside like a doll, blood still sputtering out of the gaping wound, then walked away, slurping and crunching on her throat. Tough. Chewy, it said, leaving the scene. Zack soon drifted back to consciousness, his eyes blurry and his head throbbing badly from the earlier impact. As his vision started to clear up, he began to get a hold of his bearings and looked around. He soon saw that he was indoors, lying by the production floor. He stood up, his knees shaking as he tried to straighten himself, his head pounding as he did so, before falling back down again. He sighed, unsure of what to do next. Just as he was about to stand up again, a figure emerged from a corner and smiled sadly at him. "Elena's gone, man," Seth said as he approached him. "Gone?" Zack asked. "But how?" "The rotting man got her. You got knocked out when you tried to attack him, and she tried to save you, but that thing killed her instead." Seth sighed. He took off his glasses and wiped them before putting them on again. "Fuck," Zack said. "It should have been me." "Don't start beating yourself up," Seth said. "There's nothing you can do about it." "Wait, how'd you get out of the storeroom?" "The door popped open after the rotting man disappeared," Seth explained. "I kept on slamming it until the lock broke." "Oh," Zack said. "That's weird." "Yeah, I got lucky." Seth shrugged. "Come on." He pulled Zack up. "We've got to go and find that monster." "What?" Zack exclaimed. "Why?" "Come on, man," Seth replied. "Don't you want to get back at after what it did to Jamal and Elena?" "No, man," Zack replied, and started to walk away. "I've had enough of this. I want to go home." "Oh, that's easy for you to say. Go home and cry in bed, right? You could help me and avenge them, man," Seth retorted. "Please, man, just let me go," Zack pleaded. Seth grabbed Zack's shoulders and shook him. "No, man," he said. "We can't give up now. We've come this close to revealing the rotting man. Once we've shown them the proof it exists, they'll help us find that monster and avenge their deaths." Dude, that's a really bad idea, Zach protested. I mean, if we show it to them, they'll probably say we faked the whole thing and we killed them, man. I think we should leave. Seth sighed and let his hands drop by his sides. All right, point taken. But we're not going anywhere. What? Zach blinked, staring at Seth in disbelief. We're still going to look for the rotting man, Seth said, a smile creeping on his lips. Zach shook his head. No way, bro. I'm not gonna do it. Seth chuckled underneath his breath. Shit, man. I didn't ask you if you want to do it. You're doing it because I'm telling you to. Well, what? Zach stammered, his jaw slightly ajar in disbelief. What do you mean, what? Seth chuckled, a smile creeping up his face. Man, you really are dumb, aren't you? I want to go, Seth, Zach said, trying to get away from Seth. Seth stepped up in front of Zach and said, and I'm not letting you go anywhere. I'm not about to let that creature go away without proof that it exists. No, I don't want to, Zach snarled, his hands curling into fists. I've had enough. Seth laughed. Look who's finally got his balls back. Too bad my plan involves me leaving here alive, not you guys. What are you talking about, Seth? Oh, come on, Seth said. Are you really that slow? I planned this whole thing along, man. I brought you guys here so that you could lure it out. I knew Jamal would sneak off to call his mom, attracting the rotting man's attention, showing you guys that he's real. He made a circular motion with his left hand, something he would normally do when he wanted to make a point, and said, the part about Elena dying earlier, though, was totally unplanned. He smiled. So, I guess I should be sorry about that. I guess. Wait. So that storeroom, you locked yourself in while we were attacked by the rotting man? Yeah, Seth said. I just pretended I couldn't open the door, and I pleaded for you guys to stay not just for my own safety, but also so I could get evidence that it's real. Why are you doing this, Seth? Zach asked, his eyes wide with disbelief. Why? I thought we were friends. Yeah, kinda. Seth shrugged his shoulders. But the thing is, I've always wanted to try and break in the paranormal scene. You know that, right? Well, this is it, man. My big break. I just have to prove to everyone it's real, and it'll be my breakthrough. So where do we come into this? Zach replied numbly, his mouth dry. Oh, I didn't tell you the whole story, did I? The thing is, the graffiti artist wasn't alone, man. Seth grinned. The thing is, the rumor that there was a man-eating monster in this factory been going on for quite a while, actually. He looked at Zach and added, so, one day, I convinced this guy I met tagging up somewhere around Suburban and told him about his place. How no one comes here, and how there's no guards, so it's a perfect spot for him. So I gave him this address, and we came here with another friend of his. What happened was, we split up, and the creature got to his friend first. Luckily, we managed to get away from it in time. Another thing, though, when we were getting out of here, we actually stumbled across the dead body and realized how lucky we were. So, Zach stared at Seth. We're nothing more than bait, then? Seth lifted his hands up in the air and exclaimed, he finally gets it. Boys and girls, we've made a breakthrough. I realized the best thing to do was to get as many people between me and the creature. That way, it would get to them first, while I'd be able to make a clean getaway as it feasted on you guys. Seth took out his phone and started fiddling with it. "Oh yeah, wait till you see this, man." He started playing a video file. "It might be a bit shaky, but I'm pretty sure you can make it out, right?" Zach stood silently as he watched the video. Despite the slight darkness and shakiness of it, he was able to see figures. One was the rotting man. He heard the sounds the creature made as it advanced towards them, the tension of he and Elena trying to fight off the creature, and himself being knocked out. Then Elena getting choked, the sound of her throat being ripped out, and her dying gasps. It brought him towards the edge. "That's it, Seth," he growled. "I've had enough of this." "Oh, have you?" Seth smiled. "Too bad I'm not letting you go anywhere." Zach stepped up to Seth and delivered a blow to his gut. Seth coughed and gasped for breath before looking back up at Zach. "That's the best you've got?" "Oh, I'm just getting started," Zach responded, before charging towards Seth. Seth quickly picked up a piece of rubble on the ground and threw it at Zach, but missed. He then ran across the production floor, using the remaining machinery for cover, while Zach trailed behind him. Seth bolted upstairs, heading towards the office floor again. He went into hiding as Zach lurked around the hallway. "Seth," he called out, "come out, you coward." Zach looked into the offices, but he couldn't find Seth no matter how hard he tried. "Fuck it," he said, giving up. "I might as well get out of here." He walked towards at the end of the corridor, towards a staircase. Just as he was about to start descending down the steps, he felt a powerful blow against the back of his head. Blinded by pain, he fell down the stairs and stopped at the landing. His vision blurry, he looked back at the top of the staircase and saw Seth's chubby figure standing there, holding a piece of wood, looking smugly at him. "Sorry, man," Seth spoke. "Like I said, I intend to get out of this alive." "Fuck you," Zach muttered. "Fuck you, man." Just as Seth was about to reply, he stopped for a moment, looked around, and frowned. "Well, I guess I better go now. He's getting close," he said. Before Zach could reply, Seth ran away, leaving him to fend for himself. "Damn it," Zach muttered to himself, trying to get up again, before slipping to the floor. He stayed there, sweat pouring down his head, his stomach churning in terror as he saw the rotting man slowly ascending up the stairs. It smiled, its yellowed, rotten, jagged teeth visible in the darkness, its stench choking his nostrils. "Don't you dare come any closer," Zach warned the shambling figure lurching towards him. "Why not?" It hissed as it shambled closer towards Zach. "I'm still hungry. I want meat. Nice, juicy meat." "Yes." Zach slowly stood back up, his knees wobbling in pain, unsure of what to do. The only possible way was to go upstairs, but that didn't offer him much in terms of escape. The offices on the floor didn't even have a flimsy door to buy him a few extra seconds to run away from the abhorrent creature shambling towards him. Despite his incredibly bleak prospects, Zach stood back up, deciding that he wanted to live after all. "Don't come any closer," he warned the creature walking towards him, slime dripping out of his mouth. He made a break for the stairs, his head pounding in pain as he ran, but the rotting man quickly lunged towards him, tearing off a chunk of flesh from his leg. "Oh God!" Zach shouted, kicking the rotting man's face. The monster grabbed his bloody leg again, blood seeping down his jeans towards its bony skeletal hands before throwing him down the staircase. Zach's body hit the landing again, completely immobilized by the injuries sustained from the impact. He lay on the floor, nose bleeding as he saw the rotting man moving down the staircase. The creature lurched slowly towards him with a gleeful smile. It growled as it approached Zack, its jagged teeth still visible in the darkness as it shambled towards him. Zack tried to crawl away from it, but his injuries made it impossible for him to do so. "Ah, don't run away," it said. "Meat's tastier when it stays in one place." All he could do right now was close his eyes and pray. As he uttered, "Oh God, help me," the monster leaped towards him, digging its hands into his chest. Zack felt blinding pain overtake him as he felt something being pulled out of his chest. He shrieked in pain, his voice getting slower and slower as he felt darkness clouding his vision. Seth stumbled out of the factory. He opened the factory gates and reached the car. With the keys he took from Jamal, he entered it and started the engine. The moment he pressed his foot upon the gas pedal, he heard a scream coming from within the factory and drove away. "Better you than me, guys," he smiled, looking at his own reflection in the rearview mirror while driving off into the darkness. "Better you than me."